Calling the March 3rd regular meeting of the Board of Education to order. A roll call, everyone. Thank you. Are there any public comments on closed session items? Okay. Next, we will be recessing to closed session, where we will discuss public employee discipline dismissal release complaint, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation, 2 cases, conference with labor negotiators, employee organizations CSEA and NTA, and public employment appointment employment title operations supervisor. With that, we will go to closed session. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the March 3rd regular meeting of the Newark Unified School District Board of Education. The board has just returned from closed session where we took several actions. We took action to non-reelect 3 probationary certificated employees for the 26-27 school year. Member Jones made the motion, Member Anguiano seconded, and the vote was unanimous. We also took action by a vote of 5-0 to approve a settlement agreement in the dollar amount of $68,157.5. This action resolves a settlement with employee number 2617. The motion was made by Member Block and seconded by Member Hill. And on a positive note, the board approved the appointment of a new operations manager. The motion was made by Member Jones and the second by Member Block, and we appointed unanimously Jose Salas as our new operations manager within the Maintenance, Operation, and Transportation Department. Let's please welcome Jose. Would you mind coming forward and saying a few words?
Other side of the table. Yeah, almost there. You got some support.
Thank you guys for having me. Looking forward to this great opportunity, and I hope to be here for a while.
Thank you very much. Okay, we took one further action on the claim brought pursuant to Government Claims Act, claim number 665862. The board took action to reject the above-mentioned government claim presented to Newark Unified School District. The motion was made by Member Jones and seconded by Member Block, and the vote was unanimous. So next, Student Member Torres, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Member Jones, would you please read our board meeting guidelines?
I would be happy to. We will keep our focus on the best interest of our students. We will work towards that future, learning from the past. We will stay focused on our goals and avoid getting sidetracked. We will build upon the idea of others and look for common ground. We will paraphrase for understanding. When we have a difference of opinion, we will debate the facts of the situation and avoid personal criticism. We will address processes, not persons. We will respect differences, and we will never dismiss or devalue others. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the agenda. Unless someone wants to pull an item, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to second.
Okay, please vote as soon as I put it up. Where do I do that?
That one? Yep, there you go.
Please vote. Ms. Torres, how do you vote? Ms. Torres votes yes, and there's 6 ayes. Thank you. Next, we have item 6, emergency resolution update. Superintendent.
Good evening, board members. I'd like to invite Travis DeFreitas to come up and just give you a quick update on what's happening with our installation of our controllers.
So quick and short update. As of last week, all the thermostats have been installed at all the school sites. They've gone around and they've done all their testing. Currently, they are connecting a few signal repeaters that will allow us to view the thermostats from our office and make any adjustments as needed. I have yet to receive the list of miscellaneous repairs and quote from Verigy. As soon as we receive that, the plan is to get that list and get some competitive bids on the remainder of the repairs. We'll bring that to the board for approval when we receive that.
Will that close out the emergency resolution?
I think I'm still looking into that. I think we might be closing it out sooner because once the signal repeaters and the thermostats, which are the CO2 sensors as well, are installed, correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy, but it's a different phase that won't involve the emergency resolution. Second step, I guess you can say.
Yeah, so there would still be work that's being done by Verigy underneath the CalShape grant, but it would not necessarily be tied to the emergency resolution.
Okay, thank you. Oh, so where do I? Oh, push the hand. I'm learning how to use the system. Mr. Hill.
Great, thank you, Mr. DeFreitas. So question, so I know that when we passed the emergency resolution that we talked about sole sourcing to Verigy and basically having them in charge of solving our HVAC issues. But I noticed in going through the warrants that it seems like we're still using Cooltech. So can you explain why we're still using this other vendor?
Yeah, so Cooltech, all the invoices that have come in have not been for HVAC. It's been, let me reinstate that. Current work that's been done by Cooltech has not been HVAC. It could be refrigeration. There was some ice makers that were repaired and miscellaneous stuff. Other invoices from Cooltech were work that was done prior to the emergency resolution. We just have received the bills late.
Okay, because the warrants actually, when you look at the description, it says HVAC on it.
Okay, if I can get some information on exactly which ones you're talking about, I can look back, but no work has been approved for HVAC through Cooltech
Okay,
since the emergency resolution because everything's tied up with Verigy currently.
okay, great, thank you.
Travis, could you just double check, because I know we also had a unit that was missing something that wouldn't have been part of the Verigy contract.
That ended up getting through, they ended up finding it and taking care of it through
Okay.
the contingency funds through Verigy.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
great.
Okay,
yeah, but I will look into that.
I remember
and,
the issue.
Let you know.
Mr. Block.
Just wanted to thank you again. This project seems to have gone incredibly well. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, and having a highly functional HVAC system is just like a benefit that the district has been searching for a long, long time. So thank you so much for all of your work on the project, and I'm just super happy to see how smoothly it's happened and the positive impact it's had across all of our campuses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. One quick note, I just wanted to make comments is, and just reminder that this did resolve a lot of the issues, but not all of them. And I just don't want to undermine the teachers that have sent emails of some units that are not currently working, but we are working to get those corrected as soon as possible. I do feel it corrected a good 90% of our issues, but we still need to chug through and get the rest of it resolved.
Are the remaining issues related at all to the new thermostats or this emergency resolution?
No, it's more of unit issues themselves.
So this would be things that we would be having ongoing anyway?
Correct.
Okay. Member Hill, did you want to make another comment? No? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So may I have a motion to recommend that the Board of Education continue Resolution 2024.2509, declaring an emergency that requires the procurement of construction services for emergency abatement and repair or replacement work without competitive bidding.
I'll make a motion.
Member Jones makes a motion.
Second.
Member Anguiano seconds. Please vote. Ms. Torres, how do you vote? Yes, okay.
Did you push the
The roll call button's still over here on this side of the house for some reason. It still hasn't been.
What is that?
So the way how the system works, it has to be programmed. We've informed the people that can help us with making that done. It just hasn't happened yet. So there's, but in the meantime, the buttons that you all see are still over here on this side of the house, not on
Okay,
that side. So she has kind of like a staff view is what she sees.
okay. The vote is 5 with member 5 in favor with member Hill abstaining. Next, we move on to our student report. Student Board Member Jesleen Torres.
Okay. Good evening, board members, executive cabinet, staff, students, and your community. Here are most recent student updates from New York Memorial. As of now, we're on March. March is Women's Empowerment Month, and we've begun to recognizing influential women who have made an impact on society. Today, with our morning announcements, students learned about Kamala Harris, the first woman, first Black, and first South Asian Vice President of the U.S., and it's been in kind of a meaningful way to start conversations about leadership and representation on our campus during this month. Next week, from March 9th through March 13th, we'll be celebrating Multicultural Week. Students will participate in activities that highlight the many cultures represented at New York Memorial, and we'll close the week off with our annual Hats Assembly featuring cultural performances and student talent. This assembly is always one of the most engaging and well-attended weeks of the year. For Link Crew, the Link Crew applications are now open for the 2026-2020 school year. Students if students are interested in mentoring incoming ninth graders are encouraged to apply as we continue building a strong support system for our incoming freshmen and their transition into high school. Students can also participate in the 2026 Northern District of California Civics Contest, with this year's theme being Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness. Your voice, your story, your America, and students may submit their essay or a video for a chance to earn scholarship prizes. In college and career news, seniors have the opportunity to attend La Raza Day at Ohlone College this Friday, so they'll be taking a field trip over there. And this event gives kind of the students an exposure to college pathways, while it's also celebrating culture and community at Ohlone. And also the New York Memorial's Athletics Boosters will also be hosting a craft feed on Saturday, March 14th at Swiss Park from 6 to 11 p.m. with doors opening at 5 p.m. And this event will support our athletic programs and student athletes. Lastly, students' activities continue to stay active and engaging on campus. Today, there was a 5-versus-5 student basketball tournament during lunch, and the class of 2021 will be holding a Chipotle fundraiser next week. But that concludes this week's student update. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we move on to employee organizations. Do we have NTA?
Hello, school board members and members of the NUSD community, here and streaming at home. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rachel Bloom. I'm normally an elementary school science teacher. This year, I'm serving as president of the Newark Teachers Association. If you don't know me, that means two things. One, some people in this room right now are very jealous of you. Two, you do not attend or watch school board meetings regularly. I would like to tell you all that the spike in blood pressure you feel at this meeting as the meeting continues is totally normal. Be sure to do jaw and neck exercises along with scalp massage to ensure that you do not end up with a tension headache at the end of the evening. My last few addresses at the school board have been very similar. Recent proposals of executive cabinet members were not thoughtful presentations aimed at supporting district goals of increasing student academic achievement. I pointed out how many cuts suggested in presentations would create more legal and operational problems, decrease student achievement, and not meet the social and emotional needs of our students. Fortunately, our NUSD school board members rose to the occasion and met the challenge. Instead of placing blind faith on the numbers they were shown and the information they were presented with as truth, our school board members asked thoughtful questions, challenged assumptions, and demanded realistic solutions. Simply put, I have been pretty unimpressed with high-level district office officials lately. Many NTA members have. We wonder why administrators don't support us in the way we need to be supported. Why do administrators seem to do whatever it is they're determined to do, whether it help Newark educators provide Newark kids with an education they deserve or not? After a lot of deliberation with fellow colleagues, I have come to a conclusion. District admins, and sadly, site admins too, do what they need to do to earn their gold stars. Keep the dashboard clean, increase test scores, no suspensions for at-risk groups, curtail chronic absenteeism, try to spend as little as possible and cut as much as possible, keep parents happy and away from the district office without complaints, keep BIPOC students out of special education so we don't get dinged by the state. Instead of making students a priority, administrators prioritize getting their gold stars. Now, people know that I'm a huge complainer. But after pissing and moaning for a while, I always try my best to get problem solving. Tonight, I'm ecstatic to announce I think I have a solution to our current problem. Administrators won't help us because they want their gold stars. Well, let's have the school board give admins their gold stars so that we can finally move on to do what is best for students and Newark families. School board members, for your convenience, I have already prepared some certificates. I will now present our first and hopefully last Gold Star Awards. Gold Star Award presented to the people responsible in recognition for not allowing equal access for all students of all ethnicities, races, and socioeconomic statuses to have equal access to special education services. NUSD, or some schools at NUSD, have been placed on a compliance and improvement plan by the state of California and the Department of Education. The state claims that some student groups are disproportionately being identified for special education services. Did anyone at the DO fight back against that outrageous claim? Did anyone challenge them to come on over and re-administer tests to our students? Did anyone let state bureaucrats know about our town, its air quality, water quality, soil quality, proximity to industry, and its people? Our nutrition, general health, children's conditions in utero, children's environment from 0 to 5, access to quality preschool? Did anyone ask what data they used to come up with their magic number? Who developed the criteria? How do we know it's a reliable indicator? I have no idea how we got placed in SIM because Latino students are being proportionally over-identified as having specific learning disabilities. Ask any elementary school teacher in NUSD. It is very difficult to get a Latino student identified for special education services. You will get pushback. You will need to have an SST, then collect 6 weeks of data, then have another SST collect more data. Maybe you'll have a cost meeting. You'll be told that the student doesn't need special education services. It's just a language problem. Every excuse will be provided to not provide students with the support they need. Gold Star Award presented to the people responsible for suggesting the language in Board Policy 6146.11, alternative credits towards graduation that the school board passed at the last board meeting. The school board must update policy 5146.11, alternative credits towards graduation, as soon as possible. NTA was unable to share our concerns about the policy at the last board meeting. The policy will dismantle the community and culture shared by Newark Memorial High School students. With so many students taking classes elsewhere, Newark Memorial High School will go from being a comprehensive high school to just another place where teenagers can take a class. The policy will transform Newark Memorial from being a focal point of the Newark community to a high school credits auditing building. The policy raises serious equity issues. Not all families can afford to pay for online classes. Some classes cost as much as $250 to $300 per semester. The policy is a conniving way to save money at the expense of student learning. Outsourcing teacher jobs will negatively impact student achievement and community solidarity. Accurately calculating staffing needs year to year will become virtually impossible. It will be impossible to maintain consistent quality control standards and vetting procedures. With so many online courses and community college classes, counselors will end up spending all their time matching Newark Memorial High School teaching standards to courses completed. There isn't enough time to complete that task, and they will have no time left to support students. This Gold Star Award is presented to Mike Williams in recognition for trying to save the district money without considering its effects on student achievement. Trying to cancel sixth grade flex, the intervention enrichment period for sixth graders at Newark Middle School, after being clearly told that the proposal was a horrible idea. Throwing sixth graders into 4 separate core classes does not support LCAP Goal 3, which states the district will provide an educational learning environment which is conducive to learning by providing safe and equitable facilities and conditions that result in trust. Sixth graders at Newark Middle School are meant to be in a cohort containing 2 separate groups of students taught by 2 teachers, a math science teacher and an ELA social science teacher. Partners teaching 2 groups of students help new middle school students' arrivals get to know their classmates well and provide more opportunities for educators to build relationships with their students. Under no circumstances and at no time should some or all of Newark sixth graders be given 3 or 4 separate teachers for the 4 core subjects. It does not reflect the plans created by the 2022 middle school design team that was approved by the school board. Since sixth graders started attending Newark Middle School, students continue to show huge growth in iReady scores. The growth they have made is a direct result of the work being done by educators during flex time. Mr. Williams' plan to cut sixth grade FTE would put an end to the huge academic growth we have been seeing in sixth grade for the past few years. When I'm done, you'll see in the packet I'm giving you that I have graphs. This Gold Star Award is presented to administrators in the district that do not provide consequences for inappropriate classroom behavior, in recognition for sweeping issues under the rug in order to make site dashboards look better. District administrators put pressure on site administrators to not suspend students so their site's dashboard will look good. The result of this policy is that there are no consequences for unsafe or completely inappropriate school behaviors. Educators at sites that implement PBIS forms complete form after form just to have nothing done to provide support for students having a difficult time. This inaction tells other students that they are not valued. do not deserve a safe and well-functioning learning environment, and that they are not important enough to put in the effort to create a safe environment for all students so that instructional minutes can be spent on instruction and not classroom management. In a district where students are supposed to be a priority, we have ended up failing not only the 2 to 5 disruptive students that do not receive support to help them change their behavior, you've also failed the other 25 students by not providing them with an environment in which actual teaching happens. You wonder why NUSD's capture rate is so low. P.S. Saying students are disruptive because they didn't have breakfast, have an incarcerated parent, and think their teachers are boring as heck does not give them the right to take away the learning of other 30 kids in the class. This Gold Star Award is presented to administrators in charge of the second interim report in recognition for conveniently forgetting you have not settled negotiations with your certificated employees. You said in the second interim report that you do not have unsettled negotiations with certificated employees. We are working without a contract. That is the most unsettled type of negotiation situation to be in. It makes me wonder what else could be wrong with the report. And our last Gold Star Award for the evening is presented to the people responsible in recognition for not accepting NTA's sunshine at the last school board meeting. What the heck? NTA said we wish to sunshine jointly with the district on February 17th. Mike Williams said no, that the district would be sunshining on March 3rd, and invited NTA to do so as well. Here we are on March 3rd, and somehow the district has magically got its way. Both sunshines accepted by the board on March 3rd. What a waste of NTA members' time. What an obvious demonstration of how little you respect and appreciate your educators. P.S. Management has agreed to only 2.5 negotiation days so far. A half day on March 25th, a full day on April 30th, and then a day on May 7th. We are still waiting for more bargaining days. If students are your priority, then why aren't efforts being made to create the best contract possible in order to recruit and retain the best educators? School board members, I'm going to conclude my address this evening by making another plea. I am about to give you dozens of gold stars. Please, 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 give them out to NUSD executive cabinet members and administrators. They are hungry for recognition, attaboys, and pats on the back. That is very understandable. What we need from our board members is to protect Newark students from being the victims of their Gold Star collection obsession. Demand they start supporting educators the way we need to be supported. Insist upon NUSD administrators doing what is right for our students and families. Please compel NUSD administrators to work with us to create the schools that our students and communities deserve. And for goodness sakes, can you please just pretend to appreciate what we do and respect our time and actually accept our sunshine today? Thank you.
Thank you. CSEA?
Okay, I don't know how to go after that one, so. Hello, members of the board, staff, and community. Again, my name is Sarah Kieser, and I'm the CSEA Vice President and a member of our CSEA negotiating team. Tonight, you're voting on resolutions regarding the elimination of our CSEA classified non-management and NTA certificated positions and the staff members who will be laid off as a result. The list provided is still not comprehensive, and although it is continually mentioned as a means of right-sizing our budget, the entire budget is not being taken into consideration. Layoffs of upper-level management positions should be given serious consideration, not just the classified staff and teacher layoffs that are continually being proposed. The board has not been presented with options or the necessary details to make such informed decisions. Much like declining enrollment, the number of classified and certificated staff has been continually declining year after year, yet few cuts to management who oversee these shrinking numbers. Yesterday, after reviewing the number of management and non-management staff members, it was determined to be about 10 to 1. Why? The layoffs before you tonight directly impact the students and their learning environments. Prioritizing student needs requires consideration of cuts farthest from the classroom, which includes management. CSEA sent a notice of intent to sunshine our negotiations to Superintendent Vicar on a successor agreement back on February 13th, 2025, because our current contract expired on June 30th, 2025. We waited until April of 2025 for the district to sunshine their articles, and we commenced negotiations for our successor collective bargaining agreement on May 21st, 2025. CSEA has continued to negotiate in good faith for more than a year, despite all of the changes to upper management. Meanwhile, we've been told month after month that the board has not authorized parameters for discussing compensation. It's difficult to address the compensation while the district is simultaneously proposing layoffs. We do not understand why discussing compensation is constantly being held up. We were told to wait for the first interim report in December 2025. Then wait for the new assistant superintendent of business services, CBO with a fancy title and pay raise. And now she started in January of 2026. And now wait for the second interim budget report being presented tonight. The district isn't attracting or retaining talented staff, nor fostering any trust by treating your classified staff this way. Today, we have the second interim budget report, and with regard to negotiations with CSEA, we don't believe the information on page 4 and page 29 is correct in regards to negotiations and settlements. These pages seem to indicate that labor negotiations are settled. We have not settled compensation negotiations for 2025-2026, including the Me Too compensation to CSEA, so we are unsure why it is being reported this way. Is the administration trying to hide what's happening in negotiations? We've heard the budget isn't real, so are negotiations with labor unions real? I've been standing here meeting after meeting in partnership with NTA, asking for transparency regarding the layoff decisions you're making. I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, begging you for a chance to understand what is happening and the reasons behind it. There remains no clear explanation for these layoffs other than the district repeating right-sizing as the explanation. Again, I want to reiterate the concerns we, as staff members, have about layoff details. The decisions you are making are big decisions, but there is little attention paid to the details or to whether the details even matter. There are discrepancies in the second interim budget report. Did anyone notice them before I mentioned them? Does that concern you? It should. The board approved the 2026-27 school year calendar on January 20th, 2026. The CSEA negotiating team was only provided a working copy of the classified working calendar for the draft, on Friday, February 27th. It takes quite a while for everyone to work through all of the classified work year calendars. We have 6 versions to go through. When we started calendar negotiations, it was mentioned several times that it is a long, drawn-out process, and we do not want a repeat of the past several years when our members were provided their work year calendar at the 11th hour, right before the end of the school year, when many of them go out for the summer. It is now the beginning of March, and we hope to conclude our negotiations on these calendars very soon. This coming weekend, the board is scheduled to select the finalists for the new superintendent position. We, as staff, both CSEA and NTA members, continue to request a superintendent who will work as part of the team and lead the entire district. Students thrive when the adults in the system are trusted and supported. Our district needs a leader who takes the time to understand our schools and our programs, values the expertise of our staff, who has been here longer than 90% of you, and creates conditions where employees can focus on serving students rather than navigating unjustified oversight by leadership that does not understand anything that we do. Strong leadership is not being in charge and controlling the system. It's about trust, clarity, and collaboration. When I speak with staff at other districts, especially those in child nutrition departments, I continually tell them we have a really low bar set. I hope the new superintendent won't appear in a Google search with a history of controversy. Isn't that sad? We should have higher expectations of the person who will guide and shape the future of our district. Why is there such secrecy behind the hiring of the new superintendent? This is your single most important decision as a school board. Staff keeps telling you what we are looking for and sharing the concerns that come up before you sign contracts with our new superintendents. How are you repeatedly surprised and upset when you have to buy that superintendent out of the contract that you overpaid them for? Especially after the concerns that we voiced come to fruition. Prove that you can be trusted and listen to us as employees, the people who are here for the students and spend the most time with them. You continue to tell us that everyone is here to help our students. Listen to us, the people that are in those classrooms. Remember the requests made to you at these board meetings by staff members and community members when you make the final decision this weekend on our new superintendent. We are looking for someone who can pass a basic Google search, lives in our community, and understands our community's needs. We're also looking for someone who wants to be here, not as a last stop to pad their retirement.
Thank you. Do we have someone here from NUMA? Okay, seeing none, we move on to public comment on non-agenda items. Ms. Paula Clevenger.
I should probably bring you something because I'm here all the time. But I didn't, and I didn't bring a speech today because I have a challenge for Mr. Williams. If you want to see how valuable flex time is, come to L2 during the second period. That's my classroom. I have certain kids Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have certain kids Tuesday, Thursday. I have a maximum of 9 kids. Where in education can you sit down for 40 minutes with 9 kids and meet their every single need? If you're gonna cut something, at least do us the benefit of seeing it yourself. I was here when I was in an elementary school when they decided they wanted to get 6th grade to the middle school, and I was very excited. I always wanted to do that. I'm like, this is great. I've been with the district for this long, and I listened to every single meeting they had, and the parents wanted that flex time. Wanted a group of students. I now have 54 students that I share with Miss Rose, who's an amazing teacher. And we work together to do everything we can for those 54 students. If flex is cut, then every student in a certain group will have a different teacher every single class period. That's middle school. That's not 6th grade in middle school. That's 7th and 8th graders. And we had that when we first started. We have been there for 4 years working our butts off to get these students where they need to be. And within 1 year, you're gonna go, nah, it's not working. Let's cut flex time. Give me a group of students that I will only see once a day for 30 students, and then transfer them to every single different one of the 6th grade teachers. Now, of course, we're not supposed to know about layoffs, but of course the rumors are around. Why do you need to cut 4 teachers? There's no need. So I do have 57 minutes left. L2, seconds. 57 seconds, sorry. It's been a long day. L2, it's right inside the east gate. I'm outside my door every single period saying good morning, good afternoon, have a wonderful day. Please come in during second period and see what I do with those students. By the way, we just are working on a compare and contrast paragraph with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. That's in one section. And in the other section, because we're going a little bit far, we are doing a paragraph on Jackie Robinson to celebrate Black History Month. I know it's March, but we stretch a little bit. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Kerry Noop.
Good evening, board and staff, and members of the public. I need to understand something. Maybe you have a clear misunderstanding of what's going on. This is a meeting of the board, right? So I take it that the board is in control of the agenda. The board decides which documents go onto the agenda, right? It's not the superintendent's meeting, right? This is the board meeting. So is the board doing that? And, you know, are there documents that are distributed among board members that are definitely pertaining to agenda items that are not immediately distributed to the public by sending that to board docs? And I try to understand why that is, if that's the case. I mean, I haven't followed any of your campaigns, but I presume that all of you have said, oh yeah, we're for transparency. When you shake the hands to the citizens, oh, transparency, that's number one for me. But now you're sitting here, and are you still for transparency, or is it okay if staff sends documents to the board and let's not send that to the public right away. You know, if they ask for it or we make a hard copy of it, we don't want to give them time to look at that. They may ask nasty questions. Let's not do that. Now, as a board member, what do you think about that? You think, hey, that's a good idea, because we don't want these citizens to read that stuff. That's too annoying. Or are you actually standing up and saying, this is not right? But if you are standing up and saying this is not right, why don't you do something about it? You know, the board is responsible for the agenda. The board decides what goes on the agenda, not the superintendent. This is the board's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we're moving on to public comment on agenda items. So prior to the board's deliberation, we will now hear comments on any agenda item at this time, or the speaker may speak later when the item comes up for discussion or action. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes each, and we will take comments for up to 20 minutes for each agenda item. So I have several requests for agenda items, and I'll read your name, and if you want to come up now and speak to your item, you may do so, or I will hold it until the agenda item is called. So the first one is Mr. Branch Brewster.
I'll go later.
You'll go later. Miss Cindy Parks? Later. Go later. Ms. McMillan? Later. Later. Mr. Noop? Later. Later. Ms. Clevenger? Later. Later. Ms. McMillan again? Later. Later. Okay, so next we move on to the superintendent's report.
Next slide, please. So this is Read Across America Week. It's March 2nd through the 6th. Theme is championing kindness. Our elementary schools across the district are celebrating by reading Dr. Seuss books and other library books and inviting guest speakers to come into their classrooms. So what is your favorite Dr. Seuss book? There's so many good ones out there. So if you have a chance to go and help read to a child, please contact your local elementary school and come join in on the fun with reading to a kid. They love it. Next slide. District Day of Learning was Monday, March 2nd. I want to thank the secondary certificated staff and classified who came out to participate. At the secondary level, we had Solution Tree, which is a professional learning communities in response to intervention. And for classified, we did CPR and AED and first aid training, and we now have 30 newly certified employees who received their certification in that area. School events are happening all around the district. Started off with young authors fairs that were going on, Shakespeare on tour at Bridgepoint High School, Kennedy Science Expo, and spring open houses are coming soon. And the Special Olympics last week, a basketball over at Memorial High School. Was on Friday, February 27th. It was so fun to see the students come parade in. They were so proud of being able to participate. They had their torch. They read their pledge to be good champions and to support each other. Our Mission Valley SELPA and Special Education Olympics was made up of Fremont, New Haven, and Newark Unified School District. The students had the opportunity to showcase their basketball skills. I truly believe they had a really great time. It's such a wonderful experience, and I really want to thank our students from Memorial High School who came out to cheer them on. They were great spectators, and I think they made the kids feel so welcome and appreciated. It really added to the empathy of who our students are and wanting to be able to connect with students across our districts. So thank you to our Memorial students for helping and participating, to all the staff who helped make that event possible, our teachers and our support staff. They were absolutely amazing in being there to help champion on that event. It truly is a great celebration for the students, and the time was perfect because the Olympics were happening. The Milwaukee Forest Planting Festival is happening on March 18th and 19th at Schilling. You are still signed up to volunteer. There's 2-hour shifts that are needed, and there's a sign-up form. The deadline for sign-up is March 13th, and I want to thank all the staff members for helping to make this possible. Next slide. The iReady Diagnostics number 3 is out. The results are definitely in, and students have been administered an iReady Diagnostics assessment test in reading and math. Is one measure of monitoring how our students' academic growth in elementary and middle school is showing gains. Next slide. As you can see, we're starting to show some additional growth from our baseline to our winter results. And I want to send out huge kudos to our staff for making this happen. We know that the magic happens in the classroom, and we truly do support the efforts and want to be able to champion what you're doing out there. So congratulations to our schools. And it's really just tremendous growth that's happening. Some of our English learners highlights are our students are on grade level or above, August through February. Schilling 5th grade showing a 6% to a 13% gain. Coyote Hills 4th grade, 8% to 20%. BGI 5th grade, 11% to 22%. BGP 2nd grade, 6% to 28%. And Lincoln 2nd grade, 0 to 50%. And Kennedy 4th grade, 0 to 18%. So congratulations. And I just want to thank everybody for their time this evening and for your comments. We are listening.
Thank you. Next, we are to for 2026-27 school year. We have one individual, Mr. Brewster, that would like to speak to this, and then I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Okay.
Hello. Okay. Good evening, Board, Superintendent, and Executive Cabinet. My name is Branch Brewster. I teach 4th grade and 5th grade at Lincoln Elementary. First of all, I would like you all to know that I love this city, I love this community, and despite its many flaws, I am proud to be a teacher here in Newark. So all of my comments that I'm making tonight are made out of love and a genuine desire to see NUSD grow and improve their enrollment. So when looking at enrollment, I think there are 2 separate factors that we need to consider. The first group or the first category are students who have never been enrolled in NUSD and decide from the beginning to go to private school or transfer to a neighboring school district. Now, that's a tough thing to combat because there is a very, very strong cultural and societal assumption across the nation that private school is superior to public school. I see it portrayed in the news, in casual conversations, and in all forms of media. I could go on for hours about how ridiculous that claim is and how private schools are not all they're cracked up to be, but I don't have time for that. The previous superintendent, Penelope De Leon, again, despite all of her flaws, used to come visit sites for lunch once per term and talk to the staff. During one of these visits, I asked her about enrollment, and she mentioned that she was talking with HOAs and attending HOA meetings in Newark neighborhoods to try to get the word out about NUSD. I think that's a good idea. My previous principal, Amanda Gallagher, a person I respect very much, told us one time that when people buy a house in Newark, the realtors are giving them pamphlets for Challenger or St. Edwards. NUSD is not even being considered. Is it possible to have district staff continue meeting with HOAs and get NUSD pamphlets to realtors so that more people are hearing about us? That could be a way to start enrolling people from the many new neighborhoods being built across Newark. The second category that we need to focus on are students who have been in NUSD schools and have then chosen to leave for one reason or another. And I think the data around this category is really important for us to look at. In a lot of cases, not all, so there's some people who just have to move away. But in a lot of these cases, that means that there are people enrolling in Newark schools who are seeing or experiencing something that they don't like and actively choosing to enroll elsewhere. NUSD leadership should be calling every family who disenrolls and gathering feedback about why they're leaving, then work to fix the issues. I think we should be looking at trends of when students are disenrolling so we can know where to divert resources. I know, for example, that many families leave after 5th grade because they don't want to send their kids to Newark Middle School. I happen to think that Newark Middle School has a great program. Whenever I'm given the opportunity, I try to convince families who are on the fence to enroll their students there. I especially think the 6th grade program is strong, although some of the things I've heard tonight may make me change my opinion on that. So I always try to convince parents to send their students there, and I've always felt confident sending my students there. The fact remains, though, that 5th to 6th grade is a huge drop in enrollment, and that needs to be addressed by the district for how to get that up. To conclude, I would like to ask the board to do the following. Please schedule a study session or create an agenda item at a future meeting to look at the enrollment more closely. Ask district leadership to provide concrete data around enrollment trends by grade level. Direct staff to contact each and every family who disenrolls and inquire as to why. Identify areas of concern for families and direct resources to those areas. Get out into the community and speak with HOAs and residents to learn their concerns about sending their children to NUSD schools. I implore you to take a proactive approach to enrollment rather than always responding to it by making sweeping cuts that affect the quality of our educational programs, which then lead to even more families disenrolling. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Superintendent?
Thank you. So in January, we had a presentation on enrollment and some of the efforts and steps that we were taking to be able to work with our families to be able to get some survey data as well. So I think we can share some of the information that was recommended here this evening. Before you shows the number of new families that have signed up for our schools so far since our enrollment started at the beginning of the month. And we're excited to continue to be able to bring this back and to be able to study areas. I want to thank the prior speaker with regards to this. I would love to sit down and talk with you a little bit more about some of your ideas. And I don't disagree with them, and some of them have already been enacted upon. And so I want to be able to share that information back with you as well, between meeting with HOAs and also talking with realtors, and also letting them know about our academic progress. That's been a big question they've had out there. So with that, I wanted to share with you that we have 92 new enrollments so far here in Newark. primarily at the TK and K level. Although we do have some new families that are moving into to the city, and we're working with them too. We also try to do some streamlining for our current families that are here. We're not asking that they repeat and provide additional documents as we have in the past. So the 2 documents that before they used to do, we're just going ahead and letting that continue. We want to keep our families here at Newark, and so we're trying to make every effort to make that happen. We also communicated early in December with families that had transferred into another school here in the district because of overflow situations, to see if they wanted to stay at their current school or if they wanted to remain back. And we reached out to them several times to be able to get that information and made follow-up calls as well. So I just wanted to share those efforts that are being made. And we'll continue to bring this report back on a monthly basis to give you an update.
Thank you. Board, anyone wish to comment? Member Block?
Thank you. So just had a couple of questions about this chart here. So the little numbers in red, is that the in queue? And does that mean people who are in the process of enrolling, they just haven't finalized it yet?
That's correct.
Okay.
So they're currently in the queue. They're either missing some documentation, they still have some finalization that needs to happen. But we are definitely in conversation with them and working with them actively to get them enrolled.
So that 92 number then could quickly be, 140 or 150 then, once all of those numbers in red get folded in.
Yes.
And how does the numbers that we're seeing so far to compare to what we would need in order to stabilize our enrollment? Like if we were to see our enrollment stabilize next year as opposed to continue the decline that we've seen, what kind of enrollment would we need to see by the end of the enrollment period?
Yeah, so the number that's in purple are our projections that we're actually projecting for this coming year. Again, that's a reduction from where we were last year just based on current trends. And we tried to prorate that out through our different grade levels to be able to share that information. If you could scroll down also just a little bit, Toya, on I want to be able to show the secondary schools. Here we go. I don't know if that answered your question. I hope it did.
So and how many seniors do we have graduating? It's about 300 then that'll be. So then in order to basically stay more or less stable, we would need a new enrollment of approximately 300 or so.
About 325, I don't remember right now with the 12th. I don't have the 12th grade information in front of me. I want to say it's around 325.
Okay.
330.
And then I guess I would just say if there's anything that we as board members can do to help spread the word and, just kind of be community representatives advocating for enrollment, happy to spread the word however I can. And if there's anything that we can take up individually, please let us know.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. We need everyone's help in spreading the word.
Thank you, Superintendent. As we know, as we've talked about before, so we've gone through some real challenges over the past couple of years, and we've had a full plate, right? And so we can't tackle everything, but I think that we're at a point where we've made a lot of progress, and quite frankly, some of the things that I'm requesting are probably going to take place after you leave. But one thing that I would like for us to maybe kind of think about is, and this goes, I think, for a lot of our data. I think that we've been very reactionary for many years, and some of it is because we've had serious fires that we had to put out. But I think we're now kind of beyond that point, and so we can now really sit down and look at the data. And what I think would be great, kind of going forward, is to say, well, part of this, I think, ties into demographics, right? So the demographics and potential capture rate. I mean, I'm not even really 100% sure what our capture rate is at this point, but what I've found is that it's important to understand the universe, right? So how many potential kids are there even in our community that we can potentially fully capture, right? So what would be that target? And then what are we currently capturing? And then what's the delta? And then be able to start to tease out and to say, of those people that we're not capturing, why? And then we can put some targeted strategies together to say, okay, well, there's this subset that, I don't know, they have a variety of issues for why they're not coming into our schools. But then we could have a very focused effort that says, do an 80-20 and say, okay, if we address these 20% of the issues, maybe we can capture that 80% of the people that are not coming. But right now, I think that we just don't have enough data, and I don't think it's going to be good enough to just sort of talk to our neighbors or put an advertisement on the side of a bus. So I think that what we really need to put together is a strategy. And again, I think that this is going to probably extend past your tenure, but I think that that's the only way that we're going to solve this problem.
Yeah, so when we moved to a centralized registration center last year, the idea was to be able to reach out to families, take a little bit of pressure off the school sites so that we can learn a little bit more. I think we've been able to do that. I mean, that's been an initial step. I agree. I think we're at a place where we can really start looking at strategies and being able to hone in. We've talked a lot about what do those goals look like, what are the goal points and goal access points that we want to be able to try to achieve. I know I've been in discussion with President Thomas about getting another study and getting a capture rate done, and so we'll get that brought forward here and get that underway so that when the new soup comes in, they'll be able to take that information and launch off with it. It might be part of your discussion maybe in July.
And maybe just to build on that, so there's nothing that focuses the mind like a goal. And for many years here, we had very fuzzy goals around academic outcomes. But then we as a board sat down and really talked about it, and we've now put a very specific SMART goal together, and it's enabled people to then go and tackle that. And so I think that maybe it's part of our board's duty as well to sit down and say, maybe we need to set an explicit goal around enrollment and maybe some boundaries or outlines to then help staff then say, okay, this is our goal. Let's now figure out how we achieve it.
Yeah, I agree with you on all those points. One of the things I know that we've heard with some of the people that are leaving is that we've got some very global families that consider Newark to be their residence. And I think we need to think about what is an educational pathway for our global families that still see Newark as being their home base, but they are traveling internationally or throughout the states with their families, and they don't have access to a quality program. And I think we need to really think about a design that would be a model that we might be able to really attract some families to want to stay here for those that are leaving, that have that portability that I don't think that we've seen for, in prior decades, right? Something that's newer, definitely got some momentum, I think, during the pandemic, where people became more mobile in being able to access all kinds of services. And I don't know that we've responded or that most of public education has truly responded to that need. And I think this might be an area that we might want to go off and do some consideration in, that we've actually heard from those families that they would like some kind of model. They really don't want to go pay for a private school. They would like to be part of the public school system, but they're looking for an avenue for that outlet. And so that's something that I know we have heard out there from the families, and it's good to get that information.
Yeah. Ms. Jones?
I don't know if this is significant or not, but I'm looking like at Coyote Hills, and when you go to new first, new second, there's zeros all the way across there. Other schools don't have those. I understand, like, when the NQ is there, and that hasn't changed yet. But is it just that this was kind of sort of, some of them were filled in and others weren't?
Yeah, I kind of think this is kind of our first prototype that we've kind of been working on, and I want to thank Nicole Lemus for her help and her dedication. When I asked her for this request, obviously she's in the middle of registration that's going on. She's had evening and weekend hours. So we wanted to be able to kind of put this together. We actually pretty much weekly meet to look at what's happening with registration as we go through this time period. And we've been meeting for the whole year every single week. I mean, it's been a dedication as we really sit there and try to dedicate, look at what are the services that we need to be able to, that we're hearing from our families that either they're missing, or steps that we can do, or other areas that we can kind of share with family members, like how to overcome some of the challenges that they may have experienced.
Mr. Anguano?
Thank you, President Thomas. Superintendent Vakar, a question that I have is that why don't we have the numbers of families that are leaving the district? And like Mr. Brewster went ahead and mentioned, why are we not following up on those numbers and really checking in and see what are the reasons that our families are leaving, so we could also concentrate on that?
We do get reasons why our families are leaving. That transfer out hasn't necessarily happened yet, so there's some timelines that go along with that. And same with other districts also accepting. We're actually a little bit earlier in our work that we've done here in the past, so we're excited about that. We're actually getting information out to our families for those that are getting a seat a little earlier than we have in the past. Well, actually, way earlier than we have in the past. They will be receiving information relatively quickly that they have a seat and where that seat is located based with their home schools. The ones that will be in a holding pattern are those that might be waiting to get into a seat outside of their home school, because we want to make sure that the homeschool families have a chance to be able to register in first.
And that particular wait list, is there a time frame that you give the families to notify them?
We're working, yeah, I would say that there has been some, I mean, some of it has to also do with when they go off and finish up, but it's been usually within a couple weeks. And then we have some release dates that we'll be doing things for the transfers out too.
Great. And also, just in reference to the centralized registration, question being is that, how are we tracking the data of families that are walking in on Saturday mornings, or how's that information being relayed and brought to us?
Yeah, well, I don't know that's being brought to you necessarily, but as far as like who's actually walking in, but we do have a online appointment center that they can actually register online for those that come in. We've been serving them as quickly as we possibly can. We try to serve them that very same day.
Is there a particular day that we have more families coming in other than?
I would say that first week was really kind of busy. It's been busy all along. We haven't really slowed down. I think we thought the evening hours would be more, would have a higher interest for families, and it didn't have as high of an interest as we thought. Although we saw plenty of families, and I think those families really did appreciate the fact that we offered evening hours. So I wouldn't go away from evening hours. I think it was a new norm that we were kind of bringing in, and I think I was a little surprised that it was less than I anticipated.
Thank you.
From the feedback that we received last year.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Mr. Brewster for his very thoughtful comments and for being a real cheerleader for encouraging families to enroll their children in our schools. And I'd like to thank our fellow board members for some of your great ideas. I think, Mr. Hill, I understand that this is going to be a longer time process, but I would love to see us implement some of the ideas Mr. Brewster brought forward and some of the board members brought forward sooner rather than later, maybe starting with a work session before one of our meetings, so we can at least get the ball rolling. I would maybe recommend that this is an in-process chart that's being put together, but maybe having it in a bar chart format or something so that's easier to digest these numbers as you bring them forward in the future would be my recommendation. So next I want to go back to Mr. Hill and then Ms. Jones.
Thank you, President Thomas. And I'd like to build on both what you said and then also what Mr. Anguiano said. And as he was talking about it, sort of an idea popped in my head. So when we went out for the bond, we hired a survey firm to go out and do, a scientific study around what are the things that people are looking for in terms of facilities and improvements, et cetera. And why can't we do the same thing for enrollment? Yeah. And that could really, because I think the challenge is, number one, people are busy at the district office, so they don't always have the time to sit down with a family that's exiting and having a conversation with them. But even if they did, oftentimes people may be reluctant to share their viewpoints face to face. But when an anonymous survey firm calls them up, I think they might be more likely to give information, and that could be for both families that have left, but also for families that we're not capturing. And that could maybe give us some very interesting data that can help us put together some strategies.
Ms. Jones?
My question has to do with if we're, during this process, do we leave spaces open at each one of the school sites? I'm just thinking like for a student who comes at the end of the year, or they know they're gonna, they want to enroll for next year, but they're not released from their other school until the last day of school. Do we, so that they could have their home school, is that something that we consider at all, or do we just really first come, first serve?
I'm not sure I understand the question on the timelines that you just explained.
So the question
I'm
has
sorry,
to...
maybe I'm just trying to make sure
Okay,
I
I'm sorry.
understand it. I just didn't understand it.
Do you want me to see if I can restate it?
Yeah, could you please?
A student who is planning to come, but they're not going to be released from the current school where they are until the end of the year. So can they start registering before that, and then the place is just in the queue?
They can. If they are a Newark resident and have a Newark address, they are able to move forward in that direction. Otherwise, they would be a transfer in student. And so we would, there's a process for that too. So there's a process for both ways.
Okay.
And then I think, like I said, for those that are internal, let's say that their home school is Coyote Hills and they want to go to Lincoln, we want to make sure that our Lincoln families are served first and that we've taken care of that where we can, and then we come back and then we backfill. We try really hard to try to meet that match, of course. And we do try to fill our classes up.
Okay. Well, thank you, Board, for your thoughtful comments and input. Unless there's more comments, I'd like to move on. Mr. Anguiano?
Yes, President Thomas, really appreciate it. With the online registration, the process, how are we following up with families that do not have the completed registration? And how, within the time frame, how are we following up with these families that do not have a certain document?
So there's also like things that they've got to be able to bring back in. It's available in multiple languages. There's also personal phone calls that are being made from our staff to be able to reach out to them, and then check-ins with them through the process. I will tell you that we've heard pretty positive feedback overall from families about how much easier this process was this past year. And so we've gotten some pretty good feedback. There are some comments that we've also received that tells us that we've got a little bit more work to do and how our queue is actually set up. So I don't know if those are things that we can change or if it's things that we just have to better communicate, and we'll be looking at that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, thank you. Next, we move on to new business, 11.1. We have two members of the public that would like to speak to this. Ms. Parks? And this is the report on our 2025-26 second interim budget report.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to address the serious concerns regarding the process and content of the second interim budget report. First, the agenda for this meeting was posted on Friday night. However, the full budget report itself was not made available to the public until approximately 5:30 on Saturday. Even more troubling was the board members received an accompanying presentation yesterday around 4 p.m., and as of 6 p.m. this evening, that presentation remained unavailable to the public. This is a clear violation of the Brown Act, specifically Government Code Section 54957.5. That section states that any writing which is a public record relating to an agenda item for an open session of a regular meeting, which is distributed to all or a majority of the members of the legislative body less than 72 hours before the meeting, must be made available for public inspection at the time it is distributed to the members. One of the primary ways to satisfy this requirement is by posting the document on the agency's internet website. Turning to the report itself, the projections show a beginning fund balance of $31.5 million and a projected ending fund balance of $20.5 million. This represents an about an $11 million deficit. Not quite the $14 million deficit that was initially portrayed when the current superintendent came on board, but close enough to draw ironic parallel. We are once again seeing the narrative that the sky is falling. The numbers demand a closer look. How is it possible that with no textbook adoption planned this year, the books and supplies unaudited amount was $2.3 million last year, but in this second interim the projection has ballooned to nearly $6.5 million? There has been no clear explanation of this dramatic increase. Similarly, services and other operating expenses appear to be spiraling out of control, contributing to unnecessary pressure on the reserves. They represent real resources that could support classrooms, maintain programs, retain staff, and avoid cuts that hurt students the most. The community deserves more than unexplained spikes in spending categories or alarmist projections that erode trust without justification. It is time to move beyond crisis rhetoric and move towards responsible, evidence-based budgeting that prioritizes the children's education over unchecked administrative growth. I ask you, the board, to seek detailed justification for these questionable increases and commit to rebuilding confidence through open, accountable decision-making. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newt?
Good evening again. Where to start? So if you look at the history of Do Work Unified and their ability to forecast the next year and the 2 years out, I mean, you know, it's a crying game. It's really bad. Now, granted, all the other districts do kind of the same thing, you know, and I'm not against conservative estimates. That's a good thing. But when you estimate, you know, in the next 3 years, we're going to lose, you know, $37 million as the initial budget showed, we've seen that before, and it never comes to fruition. So at one point, you get a situation where people, the public, simply doesn't trust it anymore. You know, if we're saying we're going to lose, you know, 10 million 1 year, and the next year 10 million, the next year 10 million, and then 2 years later, that didn't happen. What can you expect the public to think? What can you expect critical board members to think? But now let's just look at the first interim, second interim, what's going on. So we started with the initial budget, adjusted budget, and then the numbers go down. And now they go down so much that we qualify for 3 years. What a surprise, right? So that $6 million that we saved, that was basically taken out of salaries and benefits. So maybe I missed a discussion that we're going to cut $6 million in 26, 27, but that's how I read it. All these, you know, salary and benefits go down $6 million to get our 3%. So the forecasting is just, in my mind, unacceptable. It's unreliable. And we need to have a better model to present a best effort forecast to the board. I understand you have GASB. I understand you can't recognize certain revenues. But what you ought to do is to give the board a best effort. And the lowballing, that's up to the board. If the board says we want to be extra conservative, bless their hearts. But I don't think the district needs to lowball this in advance. Take one example, for instance, local revenue. For 10 years, that basically you can basically say add $2 million every year. Well, it doesn't make any sense. It's just it's a circus game. Anyway, these are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knoop. Superintendent?
Thank you, Board. This evening it's my pleasure to introduce our new Assistant Superintendent, CBO, with regards to the second interim budget report, and turn the presentation over to Victoria.
Thank you, Superintendent, and good evening, community and Board of Education. My name is Victoria Knudsen, and this is my first interim report to the public, and I have heard all the comments. I have taken the first 30 days of my presence here at Newark, listening to everybody, and I've heard all the concerns. We've done a lot of heavy lifting with cleaning up some things so far, so I hope that that comes through in this report to show the public what we've been doing. So next slide, please. So I first want to thank all the principals, the Human Resources Department, Educational Services. This really has been an effort for me for my first 30 days in working with all these groups to identify areas that we do need to look at. And with that being said, there's still a lot of work that we can do, and I hear what the public is saying. So the second interim report, there's multiple reports that are due within a fiscal year. The first interim report was the last one that was presented prior to December 15th, and we are now at the second interim report. It shows our actuals that are covered between July 1st to January 31st, and we must present and provide this to the county office no later than March 15th. The next time we present something on the fiscal year of 25-26 will be at the unaudited actuals that will close out the year up to June 30th, and we will present that no later than September 15th. The second interim budget does incorporate all the changes that we have made since the first interim and also since the adopted budget, all of the changes. We've also incorporated any of the unaudited actuals numbers that provided carryover in an ending balance fund. There's been a lot of different assumptions put in, but this is the best assumptions that we have for the second interim, also based on a governor's budget that was reported in January. So all of that is in effort to put in the best budget possible, and it also includes all of the right-sizing efforts that we've put in and this board has heard throughout the past few board meetings. So again, the second interim overview, it does cover any comparisons that we've made since adoption and first interim. We do have a new multi-year projection to provide to you this evening, and we do have updated information about any contributions into our special education and routine restricted maintenance accounts. So the key information for our beginning balance, it has not changed since we've presented at first interim or the unaudited actuals. Our beginning fund balance from the prior year is still at $31.5 million. On the restricted side, our categorical revenues are coming in at almost 18.3 million, but our expenditures are 37.7 million, and that is highly due to a lot of carryover still in the restricted funds. Our LCFF revenue combined in both restricted and unrestricted is 59.2 million. All of the salaries we have also adjusted to placement in step and column for all of our employees. And all of our salaries are also calculating the increase that was made for a retroactive payroll of the 1.75%. And of course, whenever you have salaries adjusted, you also have the benefit costs that go along with that to be adjusted. Newark Unified is based on an average daily attendance rate of 4,488.07. This is a 3-year average ADA. The state does allow for us to use the higher of either the prior year, current year, or the rolling 3-year average, and in our case, we do use the higher 3-year rolling average. This chart has been out there for quite some time. You'll see it the trend of our enrollment versus our actual ADA. This is not funded ADA, this is actual ADA. The blue line represents a decline in our enrollment since 2015-16, and the red line represents our ADA also declining alongside the blue line since 2015-16 as well. Based on that 3-year rolling average and also how it relates to our unduplicated pupil percentage, since 23-24, we've had enrollment of 4,828. In the current year, our total enrollment is 4,410, and we're projecting in the next 2 years a decline, and this is based on trends, down to 4,234 and 4,064 in the third year. And then our unduplicated pupil count in the current year is 2,188, and we are projecting, alongside with trends, a decline in that unduplicated pupil count as well. In a single year, our unduplicated pupil percentage for 25-26 is 49.61. I believe that was slightly higher than what we came to you with at first interim, so that is good news. That does provide us more supplemental dollars in LCFF. And if we kept that somewhat flat for the next, for the year 2 and year 3, that would still give us a rolling average around 49%, which still gives the district supplemental funds to count on for the next year and the next year out, but it does not get us high enough to get the concentration dollars. Our LCFF entitlement, this is a comparison of how we've seen these numbers change from reporting period to reporting period. The first interim was at 58.7, and the second interim is a little bit over that, almost 58.8, so a change of $77,000. I will go into more of that in the next slide here, but on the unrestricted side, we don't record any federal revenue. That's on the restricted side. The other state revenue, we saw a slight decline of $73,000, and that is because that is where home-to-school transportation and mandated cost reimbursements are recorded. So when you look at the mid-year CDE reports that come out, we did not collect as much as we originally thought at the first interim, so we adjusted that for second. Local revenue is adjusted higher for another $662,000, but overall, our unrestricted revenues are going up by $666,000. And on the expenditure side, and still on the unrestricted budget, the overall change, I don't want to go over every single line here, but the overall change in all of the categories would be a decrease in funding of, a decrease in budget by $162,000. So when you combine the restricted revenues with the unrestricted and compare that to the first interim, I thought it would be best to show how this change affects each line, what exactly the numbers were for each line. In LCFF revenue sources, we increased almost by $100,000, and that is due to our pupil percentage, our UPP percentage, increasing slightly to 51.12. And these are actual numbers recorded to our CalPADS report in October. However, our funded ADA, that rolling 3-year average, did go down slightly from 4489 to 4488. And again, these are actual numbers reported to our CalPADS report to the state.
It's only 1%.
Our federal revenue and our state revenue, both those categories, we saw some changes in categorical resources in both the federal and state levels. So in the middle of the year, when we report for grants, we get updates on what that grant funding will be. Or the state will report to us through their websites what that grant award will be. So we have adjusted all of our grants, and that in the federal side has been an increase of $196,000, and our state revenue has an increase about $415,000. In the state revenue, there is a brand-new discretionary block grant that also saw an increase of about $0.37 million. So we included that as part of our second interim budget. Our local revenue is set to increase by another $861,000, and that is due to interest and fair market value postings, again made aware to the district mid-year. Our expenditure sides, we have seen an increase by 1.4 overall. But how does that all tie back together? Our ending fund balance for the 25-26 second interim budget will end with a $13.8 million ending fund balance. That includes that we have a revolving cash fund. We don't have anything assigned anymore for the LCFF carryover, which was originally $526,000 in the first interim. That is now budgeted, so we don't need to set aside another carryover amount there. Our restricted commitments are $8.4 million, which I will discuss further in detail. There is the restricted maintenance fund, a set aside for multi-year projections, and also a special education set aside as part of that $8.4 million set aside or commitment. We are able to meet our economic uncertainty of 3%, so that leaves us with an unappropriated amount or unassigned amount of $2.4 million, but all of that totals to $13.878. So what does our multi-year projection look like? So first, our multi-year does have all of the enrollment changes, does have all of our ADA updates made to it. We have also updated all of the COLA information. In January, it was also announced that the COLA for the year 2 and year 3 have decreased, so that has been made part of our calculation for year 2 and year 3. And our restricted programs now also align to all of, so revenue will equal expenditures. You don't have any carryover assumptions in year 2 and year 3. You won't see the carryover assumptions until you finish the unaudited actuals or the closing of the books. So the first line or first row there is our COLA. 2.3 maintains as this year's COLA, but for next year, 2.41, and the year after would be 3.06. Originally, those rates were 3.02 in 26-27 and 3.42 in 27-28. Our unduplicated 3-year average UPP number has also increased slightly to over 51%, generating slightly more for us on the LCFF supplemental funds. Altogether, our average LCFF dollar per pupil for year 1 is $13,095, $13,371 for year 2, and $13,801 for 27-28. When you break that down per grade level funding, those are the next set of rows and dollars. The enrollment, these are the same numbers in that line graph earlier in my presentation. We have currently an enrollment of 4410, but our actual ADA is 4181. That was presented as of P1's attendance record time. And our funded ADA using the 3-year average would be 4488, generating LCFF dollars for us for about $58.8 million. Our lottery for all 3 years is still going to be $190 for unrestricted dollars and $82 for the restricted dollars. And then our mandated block grant increases slightly every year as well. The assumptions used for benefit rates for CalSTRS and CalPERS. CalSTRS is steady at 19.10% for all 3 years. CalPERS is changing, but it's also has decreased since the first interim. Very slight decrease. In year 2, it decreased by 0.5%, and in 27-28, it decreased by 0.9%. So that generates some savings back into the budget as well. Our unemployment insurance rates are the same for all 3 years. Our supplies and services, those are the total dollar amounts across the board for all 3 years as well. And then our routine maintenance, 3% required transfer is almost 2.8 every year as well. And this is a summary of what a multi-year projection would look like. As you can see, our revenue across all 3 years is exceeding 61 million. Our expenditures are under that, but once you do the contribution to special education and to routine maintenance, that's what pushes the deficit spending pattern into our budgets for all 3 years. What helps every year is that we have a beginning balance, and that beginning balance carries over from year to year. When you add back in all the revolving cash and the stores or the warehouse budgets and the commitment of funds, in year 1 and year 2, we're holding that $8.4 million. But in that 3rd year out, you'll see the $8.4 million decrease to 1.3. And that is where, at the first interim, the budget was at a negative %. If we decrease that total commitment amount for year 3, we are able to meet our 3% reserve requirement. So in the next slide there, you will see that by doing so, then we're able to do a 3.99% set aside, which meets the requirement for economic uncertainty, and it also gives the district a positive budget to report back to the county and to the state. And I mentioned this earlier already. The second interim does include that 1.75% retroactive payroll. So I didn't want you to think that that needed to be added again. It has already been included in our expenditures and our budget. And with all of that said, that is our second interim for 25-26.
Thank you. Board members? Aiden, Mr. Hill?
I have a couple questions, but I'd like to defer to my fellow board members for them to ask first.
Say again?
So I have a couple of questions, but I'd like to defer to my fellow board members for them to ask their questions.
There are no other board members signed up yet. Okay.
Okay.
I can ask.
Okay, Mr. Block.
Yeah, I had a quick question about, we had gotten a public comment about the books and supply funding increase, and was just curious if there could be a little bit more explanation about the $6 million figure that's projected for this year. Is there like a bunch of spending that's about to occur on textbook adoptions or curriculum updates or things like that, or what's the explanation behind that?
Typically, when you have a year that has high carryover, particularly with those one-time dollars, you have to record the expense. So there are some things coming. There's some LCAP goals that we still have to complete before June. There's a summer program we also still have to pay for. Those are some big ticket items. We have also Prop 28 dollars that need to be spent out this year. That was the math and music money. And which one was it that you mentioned? Oh, yeah. And a planned math adoption.
The math adoption, okay. And is that for like all of the elementary schools, or I guess Assistant Superintendent Allard, maybe you'd have more detail on that one?
It'll just be a pilot for next year. We plan to bring it to the board in May 2027.
Okay, so
there will adopt in K-12.
So it would be a smaller pilot for next year, but then, okay. So then, so when we're seeing like an anticipated increase from last year that's like pretty significant in the books and supplies category in particular, I guess I'm trying, I feel like I don't fully understand like why it seems to have like almost doubled from last year to this year then. What's the cause for such a dramatic increase?
I would quite honestly have to look into that for you, just because I'm not familiar with what the amount was prior. But if I can take that down and get back to the board with what that answer would be.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay. I have a question about the assumptions on the expenditure for the multi-year projections. Specifically supplies and services, how you're showing them going down slightly, and we have consistently been seeing them increase. Are those real numbers based on looking at cuts, or, you know, we haven't yet looked at the budget and said, okay, everyone has to take a 10% decrease in supplies. We haven't done that yet, and so I'm just wondering where these numbers are coming from.
Yep, the supplies and services do not include an assumption of what we've done last year, which is the 10% across the board decrease to budget. What you're really seeing is when you go from the current year to the next year, you have to eliminate the assumption of all the carryover dollars and the one-time monies. So if you have, for example, Proposition 28 funds that are expiring by June 30th, 2026, you can't assume the same expenditure level for the next year out. So you have to exit that out from year two's budget, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I understand. Mr. Hill?
Thank you, President Thomas. Could we go back to slide 8? Eight. Okay, so maybe, oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so first, so number one, thank you for the presentation. And, you know, and I think it's great to see these different data points, right? So adopted budget, first interim, second interim. What would be really useful, though, going forward is I always want to tie back to like what the prior year was. And so, I mean, at least being able to have the prior unaudited actuals so that we can see, you know, so that here's how we ended the last year, and then here's how we're moving through the next. So that would be helpful. Can we go to slide 10? Okay. So good news, right? So it seems like our revenue's going up a little bit. And what I really appreciated about this, and I think that this is something that will be helpful going forward, is you now have bullet points underneath that are explaining what the changes are. And I think that that's where we've been kind of, you know, a little bit blind. And again, I know that there's been a lot of moving parts, but to the degree that where we're projecting changes to be able to explain, well, why is that happening is really helpful. So I just wanted to thank you for doing that. Could we go to slide 11, the next one? And then the question, and I think that my fellow board members were hitting on this a little bit, but if you look at the thing that's really driving the issue, as you're saying, it's the contribution that is going to the restricted, right? So this is what's driving the problem. And then within that, we've got, do I have the right slide here? Maybe I did the wrong one. So maybe I have the wrong one, but there was this whole restricted category, and what would be helpful is to really understand kind of what's in that, right? So you alluded to it and said that maybe part of it's special education, and then what was the other part? Facilities.
Routine maintenance, yes.
Okay, which hopefully maybe might be defrayed as we start to do some of our bond work, right, and maybe eliminate some of that. But again, I mean, you know, I understand that we don't really know that. But is that really what is it special education that's driving this, or are there other things? And if it is special education, is there some breakdown that we can understand that will enable us to figure out how to maybe address it?
When I evaluated the special education budget on the restricted side, we collect about $4 million in revenue, whether it be through SELPA dollars or state dollars. But our expenditures on our special ed program are about 20 million, almost 20 million. So when you have that much of a shortfall, that's when you have to have a contribution from your unrestricted side.
Right.
We do see that as executive cabinet. There might be ways that we will have to identify where that is coming from. And we will continue to look at that. We did keep, I should have mentioned this, we did keep our contribution to special education the same as we did at first interim. We did not make an increase to that contribution. So we're holding tighter to that number. We won't know until the year is done, when all the bills and payroll is done, what that final contribution will be. In speaking with the department, there are still some pending items that are coming forward before the end of the year. But we're holding as tight as we can to making that contribution amount not increase any more than it has to, trying.
Great.
Can I just add a couple of things on that? Some things that we've done over the past year and a half is that we have started using up more of our restricted dollars first to make sure that we were actually zeroing those out. If you may recall, there was a time that we were actually, looked like we were almost saving the restricted and actually encumbering onto the unrestricted. And so we kind of have switched that a little bit. The other piece that we've been talking about in executive cabinet and with the Department for Special Education is to look at building a zero-based budget and going back and looking at every single contract and expense that goes with it and really try to start down to dive deeper. It's a place, so we haven't been able to really take the time to go dive as deep as we like. I think now's the time that we can spend the time doing that. We've got the right staff on board to start to make some of those changes. It may require an accounting support person to help us. We'll come back and talk with you about that as we identify the full plan. But we believe that because of the amount of money that we're spending in special education as a contribution, it requires a deeper dive that we really need to spend time taking care of.
Great, thank you. And then just one last comment, and it kind of ties back to when we were talking about enrollment. I know that for many years, right, we've been struggling with a lot of issues, and we haven't always been able to dig into the details. But we're now kind of getting closer to that point. And just as you did on that one page where you described, okay, so here's changes, here's the bullet points where we're thinking that are driving that. I think it would be great to do that with as much of the financials as possible. Obviously, we're not going to get down to every single budget account, but to be able to say, at least for the big ones, okay, here's where we're seeing the big change and here's what's driving it. So just as Mr. Block was asking about the change in books and supplies, right? So to be able to understand, this is the program that we're planning, this is how many kids, this is what we, so that we understand this is what's driving the change. So I think that would be helpful. And then the other thing that I think has been happening, but I can't say for sure, but I think that probably while at the district level we've had a budget, but when it goes down to the site level, oftentimes they may not always have budgets. And I've just heard kind of anecdotal stories, and I don't know if this is true or not, where, again, if you don't have a budget, then, well, how do you know how much you're supposed to spend? And I know at one point, and the superintendent has recently addressed this, but we didn't even have a procurement manager. So, and oftentimes there was unrestricted spending, and that doesn't mean that it was out of ill will. It's just that people didn't understand, well, here's really kind of the envelope that I have to work within. And I know that that's not an easy thing to put into place, but I think that it's something that will help us going forward, so. Thank you.
Thank you. I think another thing that would be helpful for me anyway is to see percentage changes in addition to the total amounts. Mr. Block?
Thank you. Yeah, and just to build on what my fellow board members are saying, I think it would just be really helpful at some point in the next couple of months to just have a conversation so we can learn more and so the public can learn more about what the executive cabinet is planning to bring down those service and operating expenses, so we can have a greater percentage of our budget going towards that first 3 rows on this slide here on certificated and classified salaries and employee benefits, because obviously we want to maximize those three and minimize the services and operating expenses to the greatest extent possible. So just the more information that we and the public can have about, the strategic plan to bring down those services and operating expenditures, I think we just really appreciate additional information over the next couple of months. Thank you.
So are we ready to accept a motion to accept the second?
To approve.
Member Hill moves to approve.
I'll second.
Member Jones seconds. Please vote. Okay. Student board member, how do you vote? Yes, okay. Okay, we have 6 yeses. Thank you. Next to 11.2, Resolution 2025.26.33, committed fund balance for 2025.
That is me again. So in speaking of the $8.4 million that is set aside for commitments in the second interim budget, since the first interim budget, we are still maintaining the multi-year projection savings of $6.1 million, and we're still maintaining the special education commitment of $2.3 million. The only change that we're asking in this resolution is to decrease the deferred maintenance that was originally at $300,000, now down to $31,000, because we have used those funds to purchase some electric vehicles and some equipment for our deferred maintenance program. So we no longer need to set this aside in our commitment funds.
Board, if there's no board comments, could we have a motion to accept or approve the committed fund balance?
I'll make a motion to approve item 11.2.
Member Block
Second.
moves to approve.
Aguiano.
And who's Member Anguiano seconds. Please vote. Student board member, how do you vote? Yes, okay. Six ayes, thank you.
Thank you.
11.3, Resolution 2025.26.21, Agreement for Participation in the Alameda County Operational Area Emergency Management Organization.
So this is a resolution that comes to you about every 10 years as we work with our county partners in identifying for emergency preparedness. We come together, and so this is the newest MOU coming from the county that will take you through the next 10 years.
Okay. Is there any no request to speak on this? If no comments, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Member Jones makes a motion to approve the agreement for participation in the Alameda County Operational Area Emergency Management Organization.
I'll second.
Member Block seconds. Please vote. Student member, how do you vote? Yes. Six ayes, thank you. Next, we have resolution number 2025.26.24, determination of tie-breaking criteria.
Thank you. As you mentioned, in front of you is resolution 2025.26.24. This is related to determining a tiebreaker as it relates to the layoff process for the certificated PKS. Certificated employees are generally laid off in reverse seniority, with the least senior employees laid off first. When employees share the same seniority date, Education Code requires the district to determine layoff order based solely on the needs of the district and its students. This resolution establishes tie-breaking criteria to apply when determining a layoff order for employees with the same seniority date. Administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve Resolution Number 2025.26.24 to establish a tie-breaking criteria for the district's certificated PKS layoff.
Seeing no questions, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. No,
go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve 2025.26.24, a determination of a tiebreaker criteria.
I'll second.
Okay, Member Jones makes the motion, Member Block seconds it. Please vote. Student Board Member, how do you vote? Pardon? Oh, personnel. Thank you for that correction. So we have 5 ayes. Thank you. Okay, next is Resolution 2025.26.23, layoff of certificated employees due to a reduction of particular kinds of service for the 2026-27 school year.
Thank you. 2025, 2026, 22 is a second PKS resolution. This resolution is in front of you in addition to the resolution 2025.26.22, which you approved on February 17th. The particular kinds of service PKS resolution may require the termination of certificated employees at the end of the school year effective July 1, 2026. It is required that impacted employees be notified by March 15th that the services will no longer be needed for the upcoming school year. With this resolution, there are no incumbents, therefore layoffs would not need to take place, only closing of positions. The Board of Trustees is asked to adopt Resolution 2025.26.23, layoff of certificated employees due to reduction in particular kinds of services for the 26-27 school year, and this would be in effect July 1, 2026.
I would like to entertain a motion. Oh, Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. So just to confirm, so these are positions that we have on the books, but they are vacant right now, so there's nobody in them. So we're laying off vacant positions, and we'll achieve a cost savings because of that.
So these positions, through a future resolution that you'll see next, through the temporary layoff process, will not have individuals in it, and we will not have to go through the layoff process where permanent or probationary employees will lose positions.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Member Jones makes a motion.
Second.
Member Anguiano seconds. Please vote. Five ayes. The student board member does not vote on this. Thanks. Next, we have 11.6, release of temporary certificated employees, and we do have a speaker on this. Ms. McMillan?
Good evening. My name is Megan McMillan, and I am a 20-year employee here in the district. Before I make my comment, I did want some clarification. The temporary positions being released here, are there actual people in these positions? Or are these currently considered vacant that we're just clearing out? Like these positions, are there actual people in these positions?
Superintendent?
I take direction from the Board of Trustees for responding.
They've asked you. Are these vacancies that we're releasing, or are these actual, like, there are people in these positions? I'll just make my quick comment. Looking at the list of the positions that are being released, I was confused. I'm a special education preschool teacher. One of the positions being released is a temporary special education preschool teacher. There are no temporary special education preschool teachers. There are 2 preschool special education classes in the district, both taught by permanent employees. So I don't know what that position is, whether there's a vacant one just hanging out somewhere, or if it's another position, and I think I know what it is, and it's just not listed correctly on the list. So I'd just like some clarity on where that's coming from, because there is no special education preschool position taught by a temporary employee currently.
Thank you. Superintendent or Mr. Williams?
So typically, we don't comment
Right,
back to
I
the
understand.
speaker, but if you're asking us the question, I'm happy to answer.
Right. So I'm asking the question that the speaker asked.
The positions that are listed currently are recognizing individuals, their employee numbers are represented because they currently are employees. When they were issued temporary contracts, the contracts list that were only obligated to employ them for this current year. It's a formality to release temporary employees. I would have to look into what the speaker was speaking of, as it could have been a clerical error that was listed. But this is meant to release all temporary staff who were notified upon hiring that they were temporary employees.
Okay. So, so if we approve this and you find later that there was an error, will it come back?
The individual that's listed or the person that's listed on the Exhibit A is identifier of a temporary contract. So the specific may not list or may have an error listed the grade level of the individual, but the individual on the list is correct of holding a temporary contract.
Okay, thank you. So do we have a recommendation or a motion for
I'll make a motion to
11.6?
I'll make a motion to approve this based on it's talking about specific ID numbers.
Okay.
I'll second, but can we just make sure to go and double back and check that job description to make sure we have it accurate?
Absolutely.
Awesome, thank you.
So Member Jones makes the motion, Member Block seconds. Please vote. Five ayes. The student board member does not vote on personnel items. Next, we go to 11.7, resolution to lay off or reduce classified employees for lack of work or lack of funds.
Thank you. Under California Education Code, the district is authorized to reduce classified services coming school year due to lack of work or lack of funds. Resolution 2025.26.26 identifies the classified services to be reduced and authorizes the district to initiate the reduction of those services at the end of the 25-26 school year. Approval of this resolution authorizes superintendent or designee to provide required notices to affected classified employees regarding the reduction of or elimination of their positions. This resolution includes both staff and vacant positions in the total of 6.8 FTE. Administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve Resolution Number 2025.26.26, authorizing the reduction of the identified classified services for the 26-27 school year as stated in Exhibit A.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion. I would like to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2025.26.26, layoff or reduction of classified employees.
I'll second.
Member Thomas makes the motion. Member Jones seconds. Please vote. Four ayes with Member Hill voting no. Thank you. Next, Newark Unified School District to Sunshine initial proposals for 25-26. We have two speakers on this. Ms. Clevenger.
I had to put my badge on for this one because I'm speaking as, I'm gonna put that right there. I'm speaking as a member of the bargaining committee, but also as an employee of 27. 130 days without a contract, and we get 15 words from the district. First day of negotiation is March the 25th for only a half a day. On April the 25th, a full month, we'll meet for a whole day. Wow, a whole day. Our bargaining team has already worked hard to make the changes to the contract and give teachers a reason to stay. During my 27 years in Newark, I have watched very talented teachers work with our students for 1 year, get a pink slip, which you just gave, at the end of the year. And why would they come back for when they can go to Fremont or New Haven for $20,000 more? Why would they wait for the HR department to reach out in August after they have gotten a job? Because the NUSD is the last to hire, and then when we don't find people, the teachers have to do the slack. We have a little over 50 days left. It's really weird to do, but only 3 negotiating days. It seems to me that management is waiting, but for what? I wanted to remind you that I did invite you to come to L2, but don't come this Thursday because I'll be wearing my badge and I'll be going and working with 4 amazing NUSD teachers, as well as Rachel, our NUSD president, and our CTA, Chaz, will be working to on new contract language, again, while the district gave us 13 words. Thank you very much. 130 days.
Thank you. Ms. McMillan?
Good evening again, Board President or Superintendent Vicar, Executive Cabinet. My name is Megan McMillan, and I have the honor of being the bargaining chair for NTA this year. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and our amazing members. I too was very disappointed with the 15-word response in NUSD Sunshine. As educators, I think we've spent a lot of time over the past few years being told to know our why, right? We're all supposed to know our why, and we decided to put our why into our sunshine. We wanted to make sure that this board and our community knew when we open something in the contract exactly why we think it's necessary. We waited and we waited. We wrote that sunshine. We've been prepared for that since January 14th. We've been suggesting dates since January 14th. We've had to wait and had to wait and had to wait. And I got home from the last board meeting on the 17th, and I had an email, and it was very hopeful. I'll be back in touch with you early next week, 1 p.m. that Thursday. We can commit to 3 dates, the 3 dates that had already been committed to since February 4th. We can't commit to another one, but we might talk about it when we get to the table. Who sits in calendars at the table? It's a waste of everyone's time. I'm a special education teacher. I understand how to coordinate multiple calendars for big teams to get dates on the calendar. Doing it when you're all in person is not the best or easiest way to do it. I want to know the why. And right now I don't. Because right now it feels like just delay after delay after delay. I want a contract that supports the students, puts them in the middle, the center as always, and gives everyone else working with them what they need to get this done. And this doesn't happen with delay after delay and no reasons why. Find the why and let us know where it is, and let's get it to the table as soon as possible. Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
Under provisions on the California State Collective Bargaining Agreement Act, each party, prior to beginning formal negotiations, must present Sunshine, their proposals, at a public meeting of the board. The Newark Unified School District is presenting its proposals in order to initiate formal negotiations for the 25-26 school year. The Newark Teachers Association previously presented the proposals on February 17th, but due to a formal action needing to take place, we have added their Sunshine to this evening's board meeting for a formal action alongside the district Sunshine. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the district's and the Newark Teachers Association's proposals for the 25-26 school year.
May I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Member Jones makes a motion. Member
Can I
Anguiano.
make a quick comment first?
Pardon?
Can I make a quick comment first?
Yep.
Sure.
I just wanted to apologize. I think we made a mistake last time in terms of not accepting your sunshine last time, and that was just an honest mistake. So I can only apologize for myself, but I'm sorry about that. I know a lot of you stayed very late in order to, present it to us. So my apologies for our mistake.
Well,
and we'll work on it.
I'll apologize because I'm in charge of the meeting. I should have called for the vote. Sorry. Okay. So please vote. Five ayes. Thank you all.
Who did the first on that? Who motioned?
The motion was Jones and Anguiano. Jones and Anguiano, yeah. Okay, next we go to 11.9, five-star attendance system.
Ms. Thomas, you might want to wait. I got to send everyone home and go to sleep because we all have to teach tomorrow.
Okay, we'll wait for a minute.
Yeah, sorry.
Enjoy your evening, everyone. I know, I see you doing it. Okay, getting back to 11.9, five-star attendance system. Superintendent?
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Allard to present this item.
The item that is in front of you is to bring on an attendance system for the tutorial period at the high school so that we can accurately take attendance when students are changing classes based on their current learning needs for the tutorial period during the school day.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 11.9 five-star attendance system for Newark Memorial High School tutorial period.
Mr. Anguiano makes the motion.
I'll second, and I just want to say we use five-star at Fremont, and I think it works really well. So I'm really glad to see us adopting it here in Newark. I think it's a good system. So I'll second.
So
It is from the recommendation of the committee that put this together to move forward with this particular system.
So Member Block seconds. Please vote. Student member, how do you vote? Yes. Okay, it's 6 yeses. Thank you. Next, we move on to the consent agenda, personnel items. Seeing that no one is asking to pull that item, I would entertain a motion for 12.2.
I'll make a motion to approve 12.1.
12.2.
12.2, personal report.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Member Anguiano makes the motion for 12.2. Member Jones seconds. Please vote. Five ayes. The student board member does not vote. Next, we move to the consent agenda, non-personnel items. No one from the public has asked to pull any of these items. Does any board member wish to pull an item? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve 13.2 through 13 point, wait, I lost 14.
I'll make a motion to approve 13.2 through 13.14.
Second.
Okay, Member Jones makes a motion, and Member Anguiano seconds. Please vote. Student Board Member, how do you vote? Yes. 6 ayes, thank you. Next, we move on to 14, Board of Education Committee Reports, Announcements, Requests, Debrief, and Discussion. I think this time I'll start on my left. Member Block?
All right. Not too much to say today. Just really encouraging everyone they know about enrolling in Newark Unified. The more that all of us together as a community can advocate and spread the word about, joining our district, the more we can really reverse our trend of declining enrollment, which will really create a positive cycle for everybody in the district. Also just wanted to let everyone know that unfortunately I'll be out of town for our next board meeting 2 weeks from today. So I will not be there. I'll be in Los Angeles visiting family. So unfortunately I won't be there, but I'll be back for the following meeting.
Thank you. Member Hill?
Thank you, President Thomas. So 2 things. So one, per comments that came earlier from one of the public speakers. So I think it is really important that we walk the talk when it comes to transparency and we follow the Brown Act. And so when we have an agenda item that's posted and then within 72 hours, I mean, there's always a situation where we may need to post some additional information. But I really, my feeling is that if the board gets it, that the public should get it at the same time. And in my opinion, it's okay if there are mistakes or the issues, things that are not quite tied up. But I just think it's really important that the public feels that they're getting the same kind of notice that we are. So that's a request. The second is it's actually a request. So we are in an amazing time in our country's history, right? So it's the 250th anniversary. And I got, as a teacher, I got some email from this organization, and it gave me an idea. And so I'd like to throw this out to the board. So since it's the 250th anniversary, so what do we actually know about our Constitution? And so what I'd like to do, if the board is okay with it, is I would like for us as a board to issue a challenge to the Newark Memorial High School to tell them that we want to pick their best and brightest, and it's going to be 5-on-5. Who knows the most about the Constitution? And then we would get the questions from the citizenship test, right? So there's a citizenship test that you have to take, and I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do this, but I think it would be fun, and I hope
ideas.
And I hope that the high school students show us up. But you got to earn it.
As a government teacher, I would just politely request that we include our wonderful Newark Memorial government teachers in this process if we want to proceed.
Sure.
Sounds like a plan.
Wait.
Okay.
I thought the challenge was students against board.
So it sounds like the superintendent's going to help us make this happen.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Mr. Anguiano.
Thank you. I appreciate the challenge. Thank you for all the individuals that came out today, NTA, CSEA, representing the Sunshine Committee. I do too apologize for a couple of weeks ago not taking initiative. So thank you for that, and thank you for all being here. I just wanted to say thank you to all the invitations that we've had across the board from the Newark Middle School, elementary, and also the high school in regards to the events that are happening. The Young Arthur's event was amazing. Just attending and being surrounded by so many young individuals that are really passionate about reading. That really just made my night. So also the science expos that have been occurring around the district, I really appreciate it. And last but not least, the Kennedy Science Camp, to all the volunteers, the parents that took the time today to chaperone, and also the teachers that are there today with our children, taking care of our children, overlooking and really educating our children in the process. Just my hats off to everyone that's doing this, and for us to continue doing this great deed for our children. Thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you to all of the cabinet members who prepared all of the presentations tonight. I really felt well informed. I loved the bullet points at the bottom, as Member Hill pointed out on the one page. That really did help to allow me to just understand it one step deeper, so I appreciated that. Appreciated so many folks from NTA coming out in support of themselves and what they deserve, and so thank you for that. And I guess that's really it, but thank you.
I'd like to echo the comments by my fellow board members with a special thanks to you, Ms. Knutson, for being here just 30 days and putting together a great second interim report. Thank you very much. So with that, we move on to the superintendent's finding. What?
Did you?
Oh.
Sorry. It's all right, running together.
Did I forgot?
No, you were good. You're all
my
good.
mistake.
Okay.
My mistake.
Okay, I went clockwise and then counterclockwise. Okay, Superintendent.
Yeah, just a couple of things. In December, some things that we talked about when we talked about the changes that we want to be able to make to our academic outcomes, some of the things that we really wanted to be able to do here that were maybe a little different and maybe a different way of looking at how we structure things as we look at our assets for the future. One of the things that came up was the idea of taking a look at a health benefit structure. And so I'm excited to work with, hopefully with NTA and with CSEA to talk about initiating a health benefits committee and getting that launched here this spring. We will be bringing in Gallagher and Associates to be able to help us with that work and help us do the study that has to go along with that, and also to help educate us on what our options are that we may have out there, and then what that takes to be able to do. And so I'm collectively looking forward to having that conversation with everyone. And I don't know what the end process will be, but we will work on that together. We're going to set some goals and some tenets around that, and I hope to get that launched with dates here coming up in the next couple weeks. So I just wanted to share that piece of information with you. Mrs. Thomas, please do not get away. You've got some documents that I need to get a hold of. And I don't want to have to chase you down tomorrow. So don't leave here until I get a chance to take a look at a couple documents that you have that we need for some documentation. And I think with that, I think that kind of concludes all my comments here. I do appreciate the speakers. I do know that our budget has been difficult to navigate the last few years. In navigating that, we've had a lot of help from the outside. It's rotated and changed. The consistency will help in being able to really start to make some of the deeper dives that we have to make. In some cases, we may be looking at some of the categories together and collectively to figure out where is that we want to be able to put our priorities for spending to be able to go with some things. You can delay adoptions. You can delay spending on some things. You can kind of push it out. Some things will have restrictions, but we want to make sure that we start to make dives into areas that we know that we've had larger expenditures in, that we've been making those big, giant contributions towards. Not that it's for the wrong reasons, because really the reasons are around kids, right, and making sure that kids have services. But have we really done all that we can to make sure that those services are aligned and categorized, or maybe that we're not getting the best bang for our dollar? And maybe there's some other ways that we can structure some of the services that go along with that. I think I don't know what the answers are to all of those, but I can watch your special education contribution continue to go up. And it is becoming larger and larger. We're not the only district experiencing it. However, we did experience at a little greater rate than some of our surrounding districts when you look at the percentages. And that's where the idea of having percentages and looking at those things. So when we look at that data, and as we've started studying some of the information around what's happening in our district, it does make you wonder, why is this happening? Who's being selected? What are the services that we're actually providing? And have we helped our educators in knowing that this is the menu of choices that you might have, because we've been able to either negotiate some better pricing that goes along with it, to be able to identify services. I think our procurement person will be able to help us with that, along with maybe a special education committee looking at what those services are that we want to be committed to. Some things might be a little out of line. I mean, as we've been trying to close in on the number of consultants that we're using through special education in particular and switch it back to being an actual employee here, we're working on contracts that allow us to either be able to hire those people if they're working out well for us without costing a whole extra year of time, right? Because sometimes they have a bounty when you have that. So we're working through negotiations to kind of change some of those things as we start to do a deeper dig and dive as to what needs to happen for those changes. It'll be ongoing. It's not something that we're going to conquer in 1 year. It's something that's going to take us multiple years to go off and conquer. But I think that we do recognize as a board, you've given me a challenge to try to sit there and look at some of these things to help get it launched. I know Ms. Newton and I, we've had a conversation, and the idea of bringing back that zero-based budgeting, in particular for special education, and then work with special education on a menu of services for various categories that we've already done some either purchasing power with or negotiating power for those types of services in advance versus being reactionary. That might be a way to help reduce some of those expenditures that sometimes we're just stuck having to pay because we haven't taken the time to be able to identify like what the services are and to be able to do that in advance so that when we need them, we're able to pull into those. So I'm hoping that those will be some answers that we kind of start to dive into as we could take a look at that element. I do want to say that you've heard me say this before. Oftentimes when kids are identified as being in special education, they never get off that track. And we've also got to have ways for some kids to be able to exit and to be able to give them that exit to be able to stand on their own. And many of our kids might be able to get there, but we need to make sure that we're identifying how we do those through some of our steps, and we need to be able to work with our educators on that because they know best. And again, I do believe some kids probably could exit, but we haven't created that pipeline to be able to recognize that. And so I think that's something too that I think that we need to go back and go take a look at. You know, probably same with the 504 plans, you know, I think we need to go back and look at all of that collectively together. And again, we've been investing. I think we've been making the contributions, but it's been to a place that it really has been difficult because it's taken up such a large apportionment of the budget that we need to look at ways that we can do the same kinds of services at a more economical way of being able to provide those services and still fully meet the needs of what the children need to have. And so it will be hard work. It's going to be really hard work. Special education reform is not easy. Looking at the memorandum of maintenance of effort, there's elements there too that you have to be in compliance with. And but I think together, I think you'll get there with it. It's just going to take some time.
Thank you.
President Thomas, could I make one quick comment?
Pardon?
One quick comment.
Oh, sure.
And thank you, Superintendent. And I just want to remind the board as well as the public that a few years ago when the superintendent first joined us as the CBO, so I'm not sure if I'm paraphrasing this correctly, but it comes from Sherlock Holmes, right? So our budget was a puzzle inside an enigma wrapped in a mystery. And so, and I remember seeing the then CBO Vicar pulling her hair out, and we had to engage a lot of external, very qualified people, and it took everybody a couple months to figure it out, right? So I think it's just important to remind ourselves that, we've come a long way. So we still have a ways to go, but we've come a long way. So thank you.
Thank you.
I
that-
think when you look at surrounding school districts and some of the major cuts that they're having to make, the idea of trying to keep it at a right sizing level and to try to save where we can save is still going to be important, because at the end of the day, you made it very clear. You want to make sure that you're able to attract and retain your employees. I truly do believe in that. We haven't really had the ability to really be able to make the offers of compensation that we want to be able to make to be able to bring it up to that level. But I truly do believe it's an important element of what the leadership team has talked about. And I think some of the goals that you have given us to try to infuse into. And so I don't want to shortchange that, because I think it's really important at the end of the day that we know paying people for the services that they give is extremely important.
Thank you. With that, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Good evening. See you this Saturday.
And Sunday.
And Sunday.
Yep, Saturday and Sunday.